Trading community from around the world, welcome to Wednesday. My name is Jerremy Newsome, and I have a great interview with Umar Ashraf. A lot of people love this gentleman, and I'm one of those people. Great guy. He also has a phenomenal beard and is always looking sharp. We're going to be discussing day trading weekly options. We're going to talk about stocks. We're going to talk about setups, patterns, time frames, and we're going to really dive into the ThinkorSwim platform in this particular interview. This is a must watch. Feel free to watch it as many times as you want. It's entirely free, brought to you by Real Life Trading. Thank you for being a part of the trading community. Thank you for enriching lives with us. Let's go ahead and dive into the interview and make magic happen together. You rock. Beautiful. All right, traders from around the world. So here's what we have today. Very special guest on the podcast and interview and discussion. We have Mr. Umar Ashraf that we're going to be discussing today a little bit about his journey, how he traded, what he trades, how he trades, because this guy excites me. And man, I mean that with all sincerity. Like, you're a really beautiful person, both inside and out. You help a lot of people. You do a lot of great things. A lot of people would view us as competitors, but I don't, man. I view you as someone who helps and actually teaches people how this stuff works. So can you give us a little bit of insight on how you got started?
Sure. Thank you so much for the intro. So I got started when I was 18, just like everybody else. You start in the market with the idea of making a lot of money. So when I was 18, I used to do multiple different jobs. I used to sell a lot of iPhones on eBay, Craigslist, and stuff like that. So I had a good amount of money saved up. And my whole thing when I was young was, hey, I want financial freedom. What's one thing that can make me a lot of money? So I used to go online looking at, who made the most money last year on Forbes.com. And the top 3 people that came up were hedge fund managers. And I was like, what's a hedge fund manager? And I would see, they trade stocks, right? So obviously their trading is very different than the way we trade, but that's how I kind of got interested in it. So I was like, you know what? I have this money. Let me dump it into the market. I know what I'm doing. So I jumped in, and my first trade was JCPenney. And it was a terrible trade because when I got into the trade, I was down 50% at one point. And then I walked away making maybe 8% on the trade, which looked good at the end, but that was like terrible trading, right? So I went through that whole process for like the next 6-7 months, and I burned my whole account. And that's where, I started realizing like, wow, this is actually harder than it looks. And then all the people start coming out, start saying, trading is bad, trading is gambling, and all this stuff. So from there on forward, it was just kind of like, hey, I want to dedicate all my time and energy into trading. Like, I want to learn everything humanly possible that I can, just to kind of be good at this craft, what's required. So I would listen to a lot of podcasts, watch a lot of YouTube videos, read a lot of books, and just apply. And then over the past 6 years, just constantly keep learning. Even at this point, I'm still learning. You know what I mean? And I think that's a very important thing for people to understand, because people think, once you get to a certain stage, you're done. And that's not true, because even my trading strategy and style has changed a lot, even in the past year. You know what I mean? So it's just a constant learning curve that you have to keep, progressing, especially if you want to get to the next level. And even right now, like I said, I'm still learning a lot of new things. I'm still progressing. I have some things down packed, but even trying to get to a higher level requires you to learn more and more and just kind of get things down from there.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, man. And I think that's a lot of people have that perception of not only learning and information, but also success. So they'll say, all right, I want to make $1 million. And then when I do that, I'm done. They have like a finish line in their mind. And it's really disadvantaged to do that. You don't want to have necessarily a place where you say, all right, if I hit this, then I'm done. That's all I need. I'm going to stop learning. I'm going to quit. I'm finished. I have all my money. I'm okay.
No, of course, I agree. It's the way I look at life is, I think what brings me personally the most joy is progressing. Progression brings joy, and it's like I can say, hey, I want to make $1 million, and let's just say that happens. I'm not happy because it's like, okay, what can I do next? And it's not about the money concept, but it's just about getting yourself to the highest point you can actually get to.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. So when you mentioned studying in the podcast, what podcast did you listen to? What books did you read? What webinars? Like, what was that journey like?
The one webinar I remember I started with was with Chat with Traders.
Yeah.
When he originally started, I remember I started listening to like all his webinars starting out. That was one podcast I was listening to, and I would just go to a bunch of YouTube videos, like just searching trading and just getting like, pieces from each video. I don't know exact videos of what I was watching, but it was a lot of
Right.
different videos. And then one thing I kind of picked up on, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to find this beneficial, is you're going to notice that when you watch different videos with different traders, you start learning that one trader says he or she does X, Y, and Z, but another trader says he or she doesn't do X, Y, and Z. So that tends to confuse you, but what you have to understand is every trader has a different approach. Doesn't make it right or wrong. It just comes down to what works for you. So if something works for trader A, don't try to go and try to replicate the same exact way for yourself, because you are not the same as trader A. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's like a very important thing to look at. And when I was watching a lot of videos, that's what's one thing that kind of popped up.
Yeah, because you have to make it an amalgamation of what you enjoy, because it's very similar to building a house, right? Everyone's going to have a house, their own dream house, but you can have someone help you build it, but it's still going to be your vision. You have to piece those puzzles together.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So talking about your strategy then, man, give us, I know Tesla's been obviously super hot. I
Tesla's
love
selling off right now. I'm still watching Tesla. I'm sitting in front of my computer right now. I'm watching the 733 break. I might even get it right now. But my whole thing is I recently in the past like 8-9 months I've been heavily trading options, and
Sure.
even right now you guys are watching Tesla live. You guys are seeing that sell off. So one thing that I do is I scalp options. I look to get in, I look to get out in a minute, 2 minutes. Sometimes I day trade it. Right. My whole ideology is now where I'm focusing on the bigger name stocks. My strategy before was I would focus a lot on small caps and so on. But now I focus a lot on bigger names like Apple, Roku, Tesla, Amazon, and so on. So what I like to do every morning is, first and foremost, I start off by looking at the big picture. What's the overall market telling me, right? What's going on with the market? Oh, there's a Tesla sell-off. What's going on with the overall market? Is the market selling off? Is the market strong? What are the big moves happening here, right? Once I looked at it, I then go through my main watch list of the big names that I want to focus on. Now, I don't like focusing on 20 different stocks throughout the day. I would probably keep my watch list below 6. And those 6 stocks I narrowed down on, right? Like I narrowed down on. Tesla is just selling off right now. Oh, the tape is going crazy. I'm seeing it right now. So I would just narrow all that down. And as I'm narrowing it down, I would then have that focus list. So for example, the past 2 days and today, Tesla was one of those stocks. The reason Tesla was one of those stocks was obviously there's a lot of attention around it, a lot of hype, a lot of good news. It's a momentum stock just rallying. So that was a stock where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to narrow down on. Now, when I'm narrowing down on it, obviously I start with the basic stuff, knowing my critical levels. Once I get my critical levels going, I start learning about the stock, how it reacts. So Tesla is a stock like today. For anyone that traded Tesla, you probably saw, it was super messy. It wasn't clean moves. Like today, it did not have clean moves. Yesterday, very great moves. Now, when I'm trading, a few things I really like using is obviously I like using the view app. I don't focus on using the view app as a level of kind of support and resistance, but I use the view app to kind of understand how is it sloping, right? So if the view app is sloping up and the stock is going up, that's kind of telling us that volume and the stock price are correlating, right? But now if VWAP is flat, right, like you see with Tesla today, and the stock is going all over the place, it just means that it's pretty flat at that moment and there's no real volume supporting it, right? So like right now, if you look at the VWAP for Tesla right now, you'll see that curve and you'll see that volume kicking in, showcasing that strong sell-off, showcasing that strong push down.
Sure.
Right? That's one thing I like to look at. Second thing I really like to look at is the tape. Now, the reason I like to look at the tape is I want to see what levels the stock has, a hard time breaking and what happens at those levels consistently. Like that 733 level that we were just watching right now as we're on the call, that level even today was very important. So even today around 10:30 a.m. when it got around 740-ish, that level for Tesla held very, very, very well. So it's like when Tesla gets there now what I want to see is are people aggressive there or are people not aggressive? Like, are they aggressively buying? Are they aggressively selling? Now, the way I look at that is when you see the tape, you have the bid and ask, and then you have the price the order is executing at. So now, depending on where the order keeps executing, it's telling you, are people hitting the bid or people hitting the ask? And that starts showcasing, are buyers being aggressive here or buyers stepping out the way? And once I get that confirmation, once I get that read, I play weekly options. So I would play this Friday's expiration, which is obviously very risky, but I'm going in with, from my perspective, a high probability play. And if that play works out, I just capitalize on that move down the road.
Sure. Absolutely. It makes tons of sense, man. I mean, regarding your options, that's why I love trading options. Cause again, you're just buying you're buying the call, you're buying the put. The day trading an option gives so much leverage and opportunity to make big gains on relatively more or less smaller moves on the actual stock itself. And you don't have to put up all the capital in order to short 100 shares or 300 shares or 1,000 shares of Tesla. You could just buy the option itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think like with me, the way I am personally, I'd rather have few stocks to focus on and just keep trading them over and over again instead of doing a pre-market scan, finding stocks that gapped up, gapped down, and doing all that stuff. It's just not something I personally like. Not saying it's right or wrong, but me personally, I enjoy this way a lot more.
Yeah, no, it makes tons of sense. So talk to me about your risk approach with an option, because you mentioned the word risky. I mean, buying the Friday option. I mean, me personally, I love trading the weekly options, like with the Friday expiration. To me, risk, if you can define it, it's no longer risky, right? It becomes a defined risk. So
Oh, of course.
how do you do that, my friend? How do you define your risk with an option like that?
For sure. So obviously, whatever stock you trade, option stock, anything you trade, there's risk there, 100%. It's impossible for anyone to say, hey, it's not risky. So there's risk everywhere. So it comes down to taking calculated risks, right? Calculated risks comes down to, okay, like me personally, whenever I take on any single trade, one thing I need to have in my head before I take on the trade is where do I get out? Not where do I get out for a gain, but where do I get out if this turns on me? If I get into Tesla right now, let's just say it's at 725. For me to enter quickly, I have to be able to get a level where I'm like, okay, if I buy puts right now, where would I get out? Why? And that level has to be established where my risk makes sense. Now, if I get in Tesla right now at 726 and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get out at 750, that's going to destroy my premiums. You know what I mean? I'm going to take an 80-90% hit on my premiums with the way this is moving. So that obviously wouldn't make sense. So the risk factor would be, for example, okay, I'll get in at 728. My exit point is at 730, let's just say, hypothetically.
Sure.
Now, when it gets to 730, that's where I start watching. I'm like, okay, it's at 730. What's going on at 730? Do I see that it's looking weak, or is it going to push through? If it's looking weak, cool. If it's pushing through, I'm out of the trade. So that risk factor is set beforehand. Second thing with the risk factor is also knowing how much you're going to trade, right? So today, with the market being very choppy and very hard to kind of predict, in the morning, the market started dumping, then it started reversing and so on. It's like, am I going to trade with more size, or am I going to pull back a little bit? Right? Because when the market is choppy like it was today, I'm not comfortable on putting on size, right? I like to put on size when the market is comfortable, when the market is showing me clear-cut moves. Like yesterday and the day before with Tesla, there was a lot of clear-cut moves. So I was comfortable on buying 40, 50 contracts. Today, right, I'd be at maybe 5 or maybe 10 contracts in or out multiple times because I'm not at that comfort level.
Right.
That's also where risk kicks in too, knowing when to kind of, put your whole hand in the trade and when to just kind of touch it.
It's interesting because a lot of traders will say that you will develop a feel for a certain stock or the market at some point in time. You mentioned, 6 years. How long do you think it took you, in your opinion, for you to go, I got this? Like you just felt like you knew what was going to happen to the stock?
I think probably in my fourth year.
Fourth year. And how many hours at that point did you already put in at that?
A lot of hours. Like I put in, I don't know how many hours, but a lot of hours. And a lot of traders don't know this. There's something, once you start looking at a lot of charts and understanding them, not just staring at a screen and zoning out, but understanding, you start developing intuition. You know what I mean? Like, which is crazy. It's hard to explain to people that kind of aren't there yet. You develop intuition and you're like, okay, I think this is like with Tesla. Today, I wanted to, I traded the 750 puts, right? And I was trading them at $20. And then there was a part of me that was like, listen, just buy 5 puts, hold it. Those same puts are at 45 right now, 48.
Yep.
But I didn't do it just because I don't like holding something for a longer period of time. But it was kind of like a part of me was like, hey, I think Tesla's going to sell off towards the end of the day. And, that's what's kind of happening right now.
Yep. No, I think that's absolutely right, because it's the time that you put in. That's the part that develops you into a trader intuitionally. Like you can just look at a chart and just know. Like you can look at it and go, this is it, man. It's going to happen right now. today, and you're not going to be comfortable doing it, but you still have to do it if you feel that. So how do you progress from that uncomfortableness, Umar? Because like there's a level where someone can buy one contract, but you're not going to get rich buying one contract. So where do you get that level of being okay, being uncomfortable?
I think the biggest thing for me was understanding myself, and I think the best way I understood myself on that comfortable level was by tracking my trades. So what I do is I legitimately go through all my trades. I try to do it on a daily basis. If not, once a week, I time block my calendar where I am going through every entry, every exit, and I'm seeing what I could have done better. And I'm also not just looking at what I could have done better on the technical side, but also the emotional side. Right? Hey, why did I size up on this position? Why did I size down? And then what that did for me in the long run is now I understand the way I operate in certain situations. So when that situation is presented, I'm able to quickly and effectively execute on that trade.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, man. I mean, oh yeah, this is a beautiful sell-off.
Yeah, I wanted to get in. Yeah, it's crazy. I traded the same one today. I got in around $19 and I got in at 21. That same contract is at 55 now. Over 100%. Wow.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. Dustin asked the question, and I know the answer, but I want you to answer it. He says, when it's later in the week, do you trade the next week options, or is it always that Friday?
It depends, right? So there's times on Friday, depending on how my week is, I've traded same day expirations, right? Like, but for me to do the same day expiration, like if I'm playing that, like the move really has to give me a very strong confirmation. Like if I don't have, like, see, Tesla right now is a beautiful play. Like it's beautiful. Next level, if anyone's watching, I'd really watch 702s and 700s and see how it reacts. But it would have to give me a very high confirmation. If it's not a very high confirmation and I'm not really that comfortable, then I would play next week. But a lot of times I play the same week, especially on Fridays. I think if you're finding a very good play, because all you need to do, especially if you're trading options, guys, is you just need one good play. Like you get that one good play, you don't need to go trade 5, 6, 7 different times. You get one good play, and it's just getting in at the right point and taking the proper size that's not uncomfortable for you, and then letting that trade right out. Right. So that all just comes down to the ultimate play on what's presented.
Love it. Do you trade at the money options or out or in?
I have a few times, but usually it's in the money or at the money. I don't touch out the money that much.
Gotcha. Do you ever sell options, or do you only buy them directly?
That's something I want to get into this year.
Okay.
I have done it once or twice, but that's where I was saying it's a learning curve. That's like my next step, because now I'm at a point where I have additional capital that I can, open a new account, fund it, and just start selling and collecting premiums.
Sure.
So that's what I actually want to get into this year.
Right on, man. I love it. If you want help with it, let me know. I'd be happy to assist any way I can.
Thanks so much.
Dude, of course, man. My pleasure. And again, I want everyone to know, if you're watching this, you can see my screen, I'm sure, but make sure to reach out to this guy. You're massive on Instagram. So this is an Instagram handle, but I follow you on Twitter. I'm not an Instagram guy. It's not my specialty. It's not my world, but I just love what you do, man. I love that you fire up the younger community, and we need more people like you to excite and to energize the young under 35 age group of this world. Why do you feel that we as millennials don't get into this as often as we should?
I think it's just one reason is because a lot of people are obviously afraid. I think second reason is people aren't really educated. And then I also think the third reason why a lot of people don't get into trading is because they see a lot of, there's a lot of BS out there.
Yeah.
Right. So when they see a lot of BS and they do see someone trading, someone doing something, it kind of goes down to like, okay, is this person real? Is this real? Is that real? You know what I mean? So they start questioning things. So it kind of pushes them back. And it's just also the education aspect. And then finally, I think a lot of people are stuck on the idea of like, oh, I need to go to college. Like I need college. And it's like, I tell people, yes, college is great, but we live in a time where in the past 10 years, so much has changed with the internet, with the iPhone, with technology, that you can learn any skill set online and you can do so many different things just with a computer.
Are you telling me you didn't go to college?
No, I went for 3 semesters and I dropped out. And the only reason I went for 3 semesters was because my mom really, really, really wanted me to be in college.
Yeah. Yeah. Was your parents pushing you to do another career other than trading?
Yeah, no, when I started trading, man, they were not okay. They were like, this is gambling. You can't
Yeah.
trade. Stay away from it. And I was like, no, it's good. And the tough part was I wasn't making money at the time. So I couldn't. It's like, hey, mom, look, I burned through 20 grand. I took out money. I'm losing money, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I promise it's worth it.
Yeah, so it was, from a parent's point of view, I understood. They were like, hey, this is not going to make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. And you mostly trade through ThinkorSwim. Is that correct?
Yeah, but you know what? ThinkorSwim's been lagging. I was
Bro. Oh my gosh.
What are you using?
I also use ThinkorSwim. Yep, I have ThinkorSwim. I use interactive brokers from time to time. I'll use some prop firms if I need to as well, if I can't short or can't find anything. I've used Tastyworks. I've used Charles Schwab. I've used pretty much almost every broker.
How do you like Tastyworks and Interactive?
So I will say this. For fills, they're very, very good. Interactive Brokers is an absolutely god-awful platform as far as visually appealing. It looks like you're working with Microsoft DOS like 1992. It's bad. It's really, really bad. From user interface, it's not that great. But it can do anything you want. If you spend enough time on it, it's a very, very robust platform. It always has shorts available, where TD Ameritrade very rarely does have shorts. Interactive brokers can find a lot of good shorts. You can have some great option strategies and setups through IB. So if you can get past the way it looks and kind of the clunkiness and the way it feels, I actually really like IB. The unfortunate part is ThinkorSwim has really, really good charting capabilities.
Oh yeah,
So, that's the thing is like, charting and trading through the charting is much, much better than interactive brokers. And that's another downside is, trading through actual, the chart itself on ThinkorSwim feels and works and is more seamless than IB. Tastyworks, to answer your question, phenomenal fills, very good commissions, but they haven't built OCO orders yet. And I don't know if you're a huge OCO order guy or not, but I kind of live and die by them because I do a lot of swing trading with options.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be around the computer all the time. So I'll have like a target, stop, everything set up and let it manualize, automate and do its thing. But they don't have that yet. So I don't really spend as much time through Tastyworks as I used to.
Yeah, no, I got to figure something out with maybe Tastyworks or Interactive Brokers, because TOS has been phenomenal for the past 3-4 years with me. But now
ever since the switch, huh?
Yeah, it's even today, man. I was in the trade and I tried to get out, and it didn't fill me. And then I was like, you know what? Let me just hit market order. And obviously using market order when you're trading options is not the best idea. And it filled me $3-4 below where I should have actually gotten filled.
Wow.
And it took like 20 seconds on a market order, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's been insane.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve going to IB, but no, you're right, man. It's the discounted commissions. I don't know if it's their server space that because so many people, I think 30 million additional users or something, Umar, signed up like that week when they discounted their commissions.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. So it's either their server space or they just don't care. I can't figure out which one it is.
I mean, they're going to have to care because I know they're going to lose a lot of customers if they keep this up.
Yes, agreed. Like all the traders, we're really, we're beating the street over it right now. I think I'm excited to see what they do and if they make any changes, but especially in the first, 35 minutes of market open, it's outrageous.
Oh yeah, it's like legitimately impossible to get a good fill or even get a fill at all.
Yeah. Speaking of your fills on your options, you mentioned not using market orders. How do you manage the bid ask when you're trading something like Tesla?
So I use Active Trader for it.
Yep.
So like I even put up a video on YouTube. So what I do is I set up my option on Active Trader. So let's say, like, for example, today I was trading the 750 puts for Tesla. I would put just the 750 puts on in one Active Trader, and then I would trade it on that. And I can see the bid, I can see the ask. And then sometimes if I really want to get into a play, I would just hit the ask instead of even like trying to get market or trying to get mid price. I'm just hitting the ask. I'm just hitting the bid, especially if I'm going in with size.
Yeah, totally. So walk us through just a little bit about so I'll pull up my TOS really quick. So this is your Active Trader, and I used, all good, man. I worked with Jane as well. Jane, do you know Airplane Jane? Have you spoken to her at all?
Airplane Jane? No.
Okay, no worries. Anyway, so she's one that really, really loves the Active Trader as well. And again, there's a lot that you can actually do through this. There's a lot of settings and applications you can use, but do you use or do you care anything about the volume, or, I mean, tell us how you practice reading the tape a little bit. Give us some insight.
Sure. So, I mean, the volume aspect on the stock itself, where it becomes important, is because you want to see what level there's a lot of interest, right? So obviously the higher the volume is at a certain level, there's more interest and more trading going on at that level. So looking at that is a very critical point, right? Because if, let's say for Tesla, 702 looks good on the chart, but there's no volume on 702, there's no interest in 702, then that level kind of doesn't really matter, right? So that's one thing I want to see. I want to see the volume. The second thing, the way I have my tape open is if you click time and sales.
Yep.
Right. If you click time and sales right there, right at the top of time and sales, there's the settings button right above the time.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I do here is I like to have the bid, ask, open as well.
Got it.
The reason I like to have those open is because now I can see at that moment when the trade executed, what the bid was and what the ask was.
Got it. And so you just spent time just kind of looking at this and studying it and focus on it. Did you read any books, or were there any good videos on reading the tape? Because that's something that
I read a few books, but one thing I learned about books too is you have to be very careful on what type of books you're reading, because the books that came out at like 1980, 1990, even 2000 are very outdated with today's trading, because in the past 10 years a lot of things have changed. Right. So I read a book on the tape. I don't remember the name. I probably have it in my New York office. I'll definitely get that to you. I read that book.
Okay.
And then I just applied some of the concepts. And there's a lot of stuff online if you really dig, you know what I mean? And really
Sure.
dig and put stuff out. There's things out there. But there was a book I read that kind of gave me a good idea of what the tape is, how it runs, what it means, and then obviously updating it with today's time on, the algos and all those things kicking in and playing a huge role.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of need for that, because people are beginning to, ever since the movie Limitless, I think, came out, people, because that kind of glorified tape reading in a way. I feel like kind of like very quickly, when he took the pill and he was like, he's watching the charts, and all he's really doing in the charts is just looking at the bid and the ask of the time and sales.
But it's definitely, I think nowadays it's definitely harder than like from what I read back in the day. Back in the day, I think in like early 2000s or
sure,
it's a lot easier because you didn't see these many orders go through. You know what I mean?
Right. You're exactly right, because there's a lot. It's a lot that goes.
Yeah. And they're broken out into 100 lots continuously over and over again. And I was reading something that sometimes different exchanges or market makers, whatever, are sending certain signals through the quantity, right? So they would speak to each other through the quantity that they're sending in. That I don't know how to read or what that is. That's like some next level stuff. Yeah,
you'll get there, man. I'm confident.
Thank you, appreciate it.
What time frame do you focus on the most, my man? Do you?
So I like to use, so the way I have my chart set up. So if you go to flexible grid,
yep.
See, like on flexible grid, so I would have at the top area, I would have two charts. So I have a 1 and a 5. So you can add that by clicking that box. There's right under the on-demand feature, there's the box. Right there, yeah. If you click that, customize grid, and just hit the plus sign on the top one. Yeah. So and then you can go back to the on-demand, under the on-demand feature, and take the editing off. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So what I would do on the first one, I would have a 1 minute, and on the next one, I would have a 5. Right. Okay. I like to obviously focus more so on the 5, because the 5 gives us a clear cut play. It just shows us what's happening. And then at the bottom, what I would have is I would have my option contracts. Right. So for example, if let's say Tesla, so today I had the 750 puts, I had the 780 puts, and I had the 830 calls open. So what I would do is, let's say I would link any of them to any color. Like let's say link it
sure.
to 8, or the bottom one. Let's make the bottom one 9.
9. All right.
Okay. Now if you make it 9, and
good old lilac.
Yeah. So once I link that to 9, I would go to trade, and then I would get that contract and I would send it to 9.
Yep. Got it. And so which one are you going to put in there? You want me to put in?
So let's say we put the 750 in for now.
Okay.
So when the 750 puts come in, let's go to 750 puts for this week expiration.
Wow, I'm just looking at all this premium. This is insane.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So send to, give me 3 seconds.
Let's just send to the same number.
Yep. And so just to slow it down for people who, because again, TOS has been a little glitchy, but all I'm doing right now is hovering over the 750 strike. We're right-clicking it. Right-clicking at 750, and then you can click on send to right here. And so what, this is 9. So when he's referring to 9, that's what Umar is talking about, is just opening the chart. So if we go back over to charts, this is the actual option pricing chart of that option. What price will you watch that on? The 5 minute?
So now what I do? No, I don't watch. So I don't have the chart open. I only have my active trader open. So if you click active trader.
Yep.
No, just on the option contract.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
Yeah. So I would have my active trader open. I have the chart off. You can take the chart off.
You're
gonna have to take the chart off, yeah, because it's small.
Oh,
so
okay.
Just click to see.
It's just so draggy.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Now, once that's open, what I like to do here to be able to execute the orders faster is if you click the settings icon.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I like to add quantity with buttons and the auto send on and off button.
So quantity with buttons and then auto send on and off. So these are the two right here. So you have this one and then this one.
Yeah, we can just move that above the second line. Yeah, so once they're moved up, you're gonna see, like, yeah, you can just hit okay. Now what I can do quickly, and then this last thing I would have open is level 2. So if you just hit level 2 on that for the option contract.
Yep, on the same one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's just gonna be a little tight here, but obviously we can adjust that later on. But
sure, and again, if you have multiple screens, you can detach all this and move all this over.
So now the whole idea is if I want to get into any option contract, where it says bid or ask, I can hit any of those numbers and it's going to send a limit order immediately.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you have your auto send on and you click that, you can make the price aspect bigger just so we can see the price.
Sure.
Yeah. So see, it's 42.50. That's kind of like the mid price right now.
Yep.
So let's say I wanted to get into 10 contracts very quickly. And I think Tesla is going to go down. I wanted to get into 10 put contracts of 750. I would just click the bid right next to 42.50 with my quantity at 10 and it would go through.
Yep.
And if I obviously have my auto send on, it's not going to ask me for confirmation.
Yep.
Right?
It just pushes it immediately.
It just pushes it immediately. So it's like as you're scalping and as you're day trading, you want your order execution to be very quick. So this is what I use to get like very quick fills and I'm able to execute at a very high level.
Right, which is beautiful, man. I think just honestly, the explanation and kind of the breaking of that down, like the amount of people who don't even know how that exists is astounding, Oh,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I see people using they go in the trade and they use the option chain and I'm like, that takes a long time to go get the order, all that. I was like, by the time you go get that, the play is kind of out and options move very fast.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, and what are the other 2 boxes you have down here? That's right. Other options, correct? You said?
Yeah. So if let's just say I wanted 730 puts, 800 calls, I would have that open.
Yep.
And then obviously in one of them, I would just have the level 2 in time and sales for the stock open. So that would be like one stock I'm focused on. Like this would be like, hey, I'm focused on Tesla. I'm ready to trade Tesla. So this would be my one swing.
Yep. And this is it. So it's like Tesla's on your charts. That's what you're focusing on, and you're in the zone waiting. What are you waiting for? Is it candles? Is it a pattern? Is it volume?
A lot of times I'm like, I personally don't trade off like patterns. I don't really believe in patterns personally. It's like I said, for everyone, something works, something doesn't work. So my focus is mostly just watching certain levels. So obviously with Tesla, like today, the 733, that sell-off was a very huge level, even from yesterday. Right. So even on my chart, I have a critical level at 733. And you can see at that 733 break, Tesla just kept selling off. So that would be a level where once Tesla got there, the main thing I'd be locked into is just looking at the tape, just seeing, okay, are people holding the bid? Are there interested buyers at the bid? Is the bid holding? No, the bid isn't holding. Okay, how are the orders going through? The orders are dumping on the bid. And what's happening to the bid and the ask? Oh, it's dumping very hard. which is showcasing that there's a lot of aggressive selling that's pushing the stock now. So immediately when I see that, it's like, okay, cool, get in 10 contracts, get in 5 contracts, get in. That's how I would kind of use a trade.
Right. And I know your followers and tribe already know this, but just for anyone who might be watching this new, what we're discussing right here is this move on an option is absolutely astronomical. I mean, these are the type of returns, the ROIs that you can make from an option on that type of move is something that you would not even fathom is almost possible or legal.
Yeah. I think that move itself today was probably 150 to 180%.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Yeah, which is insane. So here's a really good question, because this is the big one, man. This is the one that a lot of traders struggle with. So I'm going to ask you, the king, how do you hold, man? How do you hold the winners? What do you do? What's your skill set?
So what I do, what's worked for me to be able to hold through something very big is I scale out. So let's say in this example, let's just say I went in with 20 contracts, right? I got in 20 contracts at 750. Now it's very hard for you to hold 20 contracts from 750 to 700. It's just like, it's very hard because the stock is obviously not going to take a staircase down. Right? It's going to move down, move up, move down, move up. So that's going to affect your P&L. So what I like to do, and what has worked for me personally, is scaling out, right? So if let's say you get in 20 contracts at 750, it goes to 740, you made a little bit of money, take some off the table, right? Take some, because now at this point, what happens is you've locked in profit, because the profit is not yours no matter what you see on the screen until you hit sell and you're out. So you can be up 5 grand, you can be up 10 grand, but that's not your money until you're out of the position and it's locked in. So when I sell, it's like, okay, I've taken off size off the table. I've reduced my risk. I've guaranteed profit on one position. Now the remaining position becomes easier. So I just tend to keep scaling out slowly and slowly and slowly. And then when I really scale out the remaining piece, I would just hold. Like there's like yesterday, for my yesterday trade, there was a lot of plays on Tesla where I've held 10, 15 contracts for a few minutes. But that was because my original entry was 40, 50 contracts and I got out.
Yep. That's exactly right. And I mean, are you watching it when it's happening? Are you there? Are you in front of the computer and you're taking deep breaths, or are you just visualizing, not losing a lot? You're looking at your levels, or are you just kind of calm, cool as a cucumber?
I try to keep calm, because you know what it is when you're trading, because your mind doesn't know what's going on out on the outside. Your mind just reads everything based on the way you're breathing, the way you're feeling. So if I start panicking, my mind doesn't know what's going on. My mind's going to think, okay, there's danger, there's something happening. And then at that point, I'm not going to think with a clear head. So me, I have music on. I'm just looking at the chart. Sometimes I go on my phone a lot when I'm trading. Like I go on Instagram, I go on stuff when I see a move going in my direction, because I want to keep my mind busy. I want to keep it away from that. Like I feel like looking at the stock every second and just like saying, oh, it's going up, it's going down, it's going doing this, is just kind of torture. So I would go on my phone, I'd be on Instagram, I just scroll through stuff, and I look back at the stock. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, if it goes to 722, I'm out. Okay, if it goes to 730, I'm out. Just mentally establishing those levels and not looking at my P&L. Just don't look at your P&L. Don't do that, especially if you're trading options. Do not look at your P&L.
Man, and you are an Instagram machine, by the way, dude. You're inspiring. The amount of content you can create on Instagram is absolutely astronomical, and I love it. I
appreciate it, man. I'm trying to get on your Twitter level. On Twitter, yeah, you're killing it on Twitter. I have Instagram down. You have Twitter down.
You're so funny, man. But I appreciate it, dude. It's been. And by the way, it was really great meeting you in June. Are you going to be at the March event in Brooklyn, the Trader Expo?
I might, because I recently just moved down to Miami. So
oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. So if I'm down there, I'm definitely going to come by. Are you going to be there?
I will. Yep, I will be there.
All right. If I'm there, I'll see you again. If
cool, man.
We'll go out this time, we'll get dinner or something.
Absolutely. Did you go to the Super Bowl this year?
No, I'm not a football fan.
That's fair. Yeah. What are you a fan of? Do you have any hobbies? Anything you like on the side?
I'm trying to. I used to play basketball. Kind of stopped playing that. I'm trying to create hobbies because it's very important. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, but it's just, honestly, I just like creating stuff. Like I'm working on a trading project, which I can't really talk about right now, but it's going to be huge for the trading community. Yep. So I get very excited about just working on new projects and just starting new things and just, kind of progressing on that. So I kind of look at that as a hobby.
Yeah, man. I get nervous when I'm at a party and someone says like, "What do you do for fun?"
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh man, I don't know how to answer that. I love what I do. That's what I do for fun,
Yeah, like I just look at charts all day, man. That's what I do. I
And
love it.
That's fun. That's
It
fun.
is. Do you trade futures or anything, or right now you're focused on just options?
Just options.
Yep.
I'm just focusing on one thing. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you? You do futures?
I dabble, man. I dabble in futures. It took me a long time though, Umar. It took me like 9 years of trading before I did anything else. So stocks and options was all I did for like 9 years. And then, crypto came along. That happened by accident, which was fun. Still is fun. And then, I started dabbling into futures about 2 years ago. It's cool just because it's something to do at night. I know that sounds insane, but it's like once the market's fully closed.
That's too much for me. One thing I've learned that's helped me a lot. It's just having downtime.
Absolutely.
Like, having downtime has helped me a lot, and obviously taking care of your health. Because one thing also just I want to bring up, which is very important, taking care of your health, guys. Sleeping well, going to the gym, meditating. These things are gonna help you out so much in trading because you're gonna be able to think clearly. And it sounds like small things, but I promise you, eating well, going to sleep on time, getting proper nutrition, going to the gym, meditating, it's going to give you like tunnel vision. It's insane.
Yes, you just made a really good post about that. And I really appreciate it because it's something that I try to focus on and work with people and just put it into our minds that is more crucial than we can fathom. I mean, health is our greatest wealth, right?
Oh, of course. Absolutely. 100%. And you just feel a lot better.
Oh, dude, absolutely. How much? What's your schedule like on a day-to-day basis?
So I've fixed it a lot because before I didn't have a sleep schedule. But what I try to do now is a lot of times I try to be in bed by 11, 12. And one thing I've started doing, some days I'm not perfect with it, but it's something I'm implementing. I like to not have my phone at all. Like I get off my phone by 10. I have two phones. So one, I have Instagram and all the nonsense on, and then the other one is just like an important one, right? So at night, that other phone that has nonsense on it, it goes away. So I try to be in bed by 11, maybe 12 latest. And every day it's kind of like, hey, I need to be up by 7, right? I try to get into 7, maybe 8 hours of sleep. I wake up, I get coffee, I drink water. I have these Power Up Omega Trail Mix, right? So that's what I would kind of have for breakfast. So I would eat that all day until I'm trading. So I would have the coffee. I'd have like 2 liters of water and the Omega Mix. So that would make me feel healthy. I'm not, processing a large chunk of food that's slowing me down or making me foggy. And then when it's like 12, I would go to the gym if I'm done trading, and then I would have like a real meal. Yeah. And then from there, whatever other projects or other stuff I have going on, be it with Stock Market Lab or the new thing I'm working on, I would then start putting time into that. But like I said, just, cutting off the work time and having time blocking stuff like, hey, from this time to this time, I need to go to the gym. From this time to this time, I need to do X, Y, and Z. That's helped me out a lot.
It's huge. That's huge, man. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us because a lot of traders and humans in general, we stress a lot about the time and how much time we're putting into things. And we feel like we're rushed a lot. Like we don't have enough time for things. But if you schedule it far enough in advance and you really block it and you stay disciplined, you'll find out that time is actually a pretty abundant resource.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you manage it the right way, 100%. 100%. There's a lot of time out there. Just need to know how to find the most, use it the most effective way.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. So some other last minute questions. If anyone else has any questions, by the way, feel free to throw it in the chat pane while we have Umar here. Do you have anyone in your family that trades, or is it just you?
My brother, he trades. I want my sisters to get started, but they kind of want to do their own thing. They're like, no, if we trade, we want to do our own thing. We don't want to trade because it's going to feel like you told us everything. And I'm like, it's not going to be like that. But my brother, he trades. He's actually the reason I kind of got into options because he was doing options. I was trading stocks. So I saw the success he's had, and then I was like, wow, like options are cool because I never really dabbled into anything new, and then I kind of just got into it because of him. So my brother and I, we both trade. So it's pretty cool because we can always talk and be like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And just get feedback from one another,
Yeah, man, that's huge. That's so great. That's a phenomenal blessing to have your brothers and sisters be a part of it, and especially your brother. Is he older or younger?
He's older.
Oh man, it's even better.
Yeah. He was actually in medical school,
Uh-huh.
and I was trading stocks at the time. And then I've had a little bit of success. And then he was kind of like, wow, like this is crazy. I got to go to school for X, Y, and Z years, pay X, Y, and Z amount, and you're doing that from a computer. Oh, I want to get started. And then he kind of jumped in afterwards, and then he kind of went to the option route. And that's where I kind of picked up from it too.
I love it. Do you have any stocks that you just refuse to trade? Anything on your no-no list?
Not really. I don't like trading small caps. I'm not a fan of them anymore. I used to trade them at a certain point. Now, like I said, I'm just trading options, so it's a lot of the big names.
Yep.
But before it was a lot, like I wouldn't touch certain stocks with like a very small float, right? Some
Right.
stocks have a float of like 1 million shares or 2 million shares. I'm like, I'm not touching this. This is gonna halt. It's gonna go very bad. It's too risky. I wouldn't touch those at all.
Yeah. And that's really, really smart because I mean, you and I both know that there's a lot of people out there that love those stocks. And it's like, it's a matter of time before you get just absolutely hosed. Like, don't,
Yeah, it just takes one trade with those stocks, and they're just too risky. It's not worth it.
yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right, man. Well, I've had you for 45 minutes. This has been an absolute honor and privilege to speak to
Thank
you.
you
And
so
again,
much, and thank you so much for having me. I really
oh man, it's honestly my pleasure, and it's great to introduce you to so many people who might not know you, and I want more people to know you because I think you're a great person. I love
appreciate
what you do, and I'm over here, man, as a big fan, saying I wish you great success and massive abundance, incredible opportunities, and I hope we can do something great together one day.
it. Thank you so much. 100%. Same to you,
Yep.
man. Really appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you again, man.
All right,
Thank you.
buddy. Yep, my pleasure. Take care.
Take care.
Yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there he is. A lot of people absolutely love this guy. And again, big fan of what he does. He's a great trader. We can always learn from other people who are either better than us or smarter than us, faster than us, richer than us, quicker than us, right? Stronger, either mentally, physically, it doesn't matter. You always want to put yourself around other people that you can grow, that you can learn, that you can understand. I think that was a very incredible, very useful discussion. And I think a lot of you are going to be able to learn tons from Umar's setup, his approach, and his focus. Because realistically, focus and discipline are going to be the absolute biggest keys, tools, and assets to being able to trade the markets successfully and profitably. So for those of you who are watching and listening, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is something that I love doing, is just reaching out to traders and just asking them questions, talking to them and learning from them, because I always feel that, like Umar said, we can always learn. We can always strive to progress and become a little bit better every single day. I know I learned something new, and I hope you did as well. If you like any of these interviews, I have many more coming. Feel free to click the subscribe button as well and be a part of the real life trading community. Let's all learn together. Let's all progress together. Let's all enrich lives together and continue trading in a way that we can help the community and help people get out of debt and be amazing human beings. So, folks from around the world, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And until next time, love life, and trade it. Bye.